Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward, State Court of Clayton County. This is our criminal arraignment and jail calendar of January 28th, 2025. I'm going to call the calendar because it's taken me so long to get on with my technology issues. You all should have had an opportunity to speak to each other about the cases, and we should be ready to move forward. So I know there's one case on the arraignment calendar, at least one case on my arraignment calendar. You all may have others.
Hey.
So, yes.
Good morning, Your Honor. I believe that case was dismissed by Solicitor Brooks.
Oh, great. Thank you. That was the one he had mentioned. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Ponder. So on the remaining calendar, first name is Adabong, Killian Adabong, and that looks like a petition.
Yes, Judge, we're ready to go forward.
All right. Next is Benjamin, Darian Benjamin.
That'll be a plea, Your Honor.
Brooks, Melissa Rochelle Brooks.
Judge, I believe she's not in, I believe she's OTB if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say she just took a plea with us recently, but this case she's not in custody on. Y'all don't have a Brooks, correct?
Your Honor.
Yeah, I can't remember her, but I no reason to doubt that she had another one recently. Dorian Nehemiah Brown.
Your Honor, this case, the solicitor's office has indicated they want to transfer it. However, Mr. Brown is still in custody. There seems to be some issue with his bond and his custody status. And if we could address that after all the other positions are taken, we could maybe get.
Okay. So he has a bond, but it's not, it's high, or does he not have a bond? Because he should have a bond for this.
He has a bond. It is $15,000, Your Honor. He's been in custody since about November, and he was in custody in another jurisdiction, got that resolved, was brought here because he had a bench warrant. We got the bench warrant cleared. He has the bond. It's $15,000. We were prepared to come to court last week to likely enter a plea when the state announced they were going to transfer the case.
And Your Honor, it's my understanding that
I don't remember signing a transfer. It has or has not?
I believe it has, Your Honor. Mr. Tipton sent the transfer to
Yeah.
the court, and I think Your Honor just signed it, so it has been transferred to Superior Court.
Yeah, Mr. Tipton sent me some stuff early last week, and I signed those. So it's probably already been transferred, at which point I would not have jurisdiction to talk about bond.
When I looked yesterday, I didn't indicate the case status.
Okay.
Didn't show that it had been transferred yet. I did receive a copy of your signed transfer order, though, and it was our intention last Tuesday when we were snowed to. It was a motion to transfer or a motion to null process, and we were going to contest that motion at that time.
Okay. Well, yeah, just hold this for a minute and we'll talk about it at the end of the calendar.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, next is Denisha Lachey Butler.
Judge, I believe she's not in custody. It indicates potentially she bonded herself out or maybe a unrecognizance bond, but she's not in custody from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, she has traffic offenses, so that's not unlikely. Courtney Waddell Callahan.
That'll be a plea today, Your Honor.
Next is Milton Eugene Davis.
Judge, I believe that will be a plea today. He's not up yet, but that'll be a plea today. I did speak to him about a week ago now.
Nimrod Dubuisson. I have looks like that case was closed, but it didn't say something I've never seen before. Negotiated arrest order.
I want to say that may be. We don't have a Dubuisson or a Nimrod in custody. I don't believe that person's in custody, Judge.
Judge, he was directed to pay $512, and he did pay that.
Okay, so he paid his SSD. All
He
right,
was released on the 13th of January.
thank you. All right, so that was probably an SSD that got released. Erica Nicole Dukes,
Judge, that's gonna be a negotiated plea.
English, Christopher Adam English.
Judge, I did speak to Mr. English, although at the time I didn't have a rec. I do have that now. I will just need a moment to speak to Mr. English. I anticipate, though, that we'll take a plea today.
Okay, Brittany Harris,
Judge, that's gonna be a plea today. I will need to briefly speak to her, though, just based on her kind of being day to day, but I believe that'll be a plea today based on our last conversation.
okay. Richard Jackson,
Your Honor, that's a VOP petition, and we anticipate stipulating to both the violations and the recommendation.
all right. Jones,
Judge, not in custody. Looks like a waiver was filed. I'm showing.
okay. Miss Trammell is the attorney that we lost last year.
Correct.
So has anybody done a substitution for her cases, or do we know the status of her cases? Usually the bar, if somebody doesn't step up to take them, the bar might like ask people to assign, to reassign.
Judge, I don't have any information on that.
Okay. If they're in custody, let's see if we can bring them out, and I can assign, because I know this attorney is no longer on the case. I can ask them if they want you all, and if so, then we can, it's a speeding case, we can get that resolved, but I don't want anybody sitting in jail any longer than necessary on a speeding issue when I know that the attorney's not available.
Judge,
OTB, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
I think they're OTB.
Okay, thank you. So Jones is OTB. So maybe they will be able to resolve the attorney issue before they come back to court on the arraignment. Edward James Pierce.
Judge, we have a negotiated plea on that case.
Okay,
We will need an appointment order, Judge, but it's coming from the public defender's office, so I've already
yeah,
spoken
no
to him.
problem. Terrence Vince Raymond Jr.
Judge, that's also going to be a negotiated plea today. I've already spoken to him and he's ready to go forward. We'll also need an appointment order for him, but yes.
Darius Cornelius Reese.
Judge, Mr. Reese is not in custody to my understanding. Looks like he must have bonded out. I see a bonding company and no active inmate status listed here. Y'all don't have a Reese, right? Yeah.
Okay, so OTB. Erica Cortez Thomas.
Your Honor, I have not spoken to Mr. Thomas yet. He has not been brought up. However, we do anticipate a plea today. He has other charges that are holding him in custody.
Okay, Homer Demetrius Walker II.
Judge, I believe the state has an announcement here.
I do, Your Honor. The state sent a transfer order in this case. It's my understanding that he has felonies attached to this citation. So he's held on his felony charges, and the Superior Court is requesting this charge.
Okay, no problem. We'll sign the transfer. Alicia Brooke Watt.
That'll be a plea today, Your Honor.
Haj Brandon Wedlow.
Judge, I had just gotten a new offer from the state. Last time we were going to enter a plea, Your Honor did not accept that. So I just need to relay the new offer to him. We got females in the booth right now, but I think that's the one person I need to go over the offer with, and him and Mr. English. But yes,
Okay.
yes, Judge.
That's fine. He's the last person on the calendar. Let's go ahead. Adabong.
Yes. Want to go ahead and bring him out?
They just go straight down the list until, based on what's been given to me.
Your Honor, just for clarification, this is my understanding, this is a probation revocation hearing. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Which, Ms. Shake, this is yours? Okay, let me find your.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hi. See, I'm trying to find Adabong. I'm thinking it might be one of those that was a ways back.
From January 7th was the original court date, Your Honor, but I can resend it to you if you'd like.
Could you please, because wait a
Yes,
minute,
ma'am.
it's not giving me, hold on, let me see. Oh, wait a minute, I'm finding it now. That's 7.
And Judge,
Got it.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so Mr. Adamong, you're before the court on a petition for revocation of probation. Please raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court, State of Georgia versus Killian Veria Adabong, 2022 CR 02372. You were before this court for battery, family violence, and battery on the 6th day of August 2024. You were sentenced to 12 months. You had 11 months on probation. You served 30 days in jail. You have 7 months and 1 day remaining. Your sentence was tolled, and these are the following alleged violations of the terms and conditions of probation. So it's alleged that you committed a new offense of criminal trespass on August 28th of 2024, September 7th of 2024, and criminal trespass and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer on November 6th of 2024. You failed to avoid contact with the victim in one of your cases, Mariama Howard, on August 28th of 2024. You failed to report to probation on September 10th, October 24th, October 31st, November 13th, and within 10 days of November 22nd. You last reported by phone on October 17th of 2024. You failed to comply with counseling. Says you failed to document proof of attending a family violence intervention program as directed. You've documented as of the date of this filing, you documented 1 of the 24 classes. You failed to complete community service. You have 40 hours ordered to be done. No hours have been documented, and you're $450 in arrears. You're represented by attorney Owen Lynch, who's with you at the podium. Mr. Lynch, what is your,
Yes, Judge.
what is it you wish to do with Mr. Adabong's case?
So when he appeared on the last calendar, Judge, we had indicated that we were not going to stipulate to the new violation of the law or the contact with the alleged victim. I believe that's why it was continued to today. However, we do stipulate to the technical violations. However, we do want to offer some explanation and mitigation on those, Judge, and as far as the violation.
All right.
Yeah.
Ms. Chang, are we ready for a full hearing on all of it?
I believe solicitor's office has subpoenaed the officers from Union City.
Ms. Ponder?
Good morning again, Your Honor. The state is ready to proceed. It's my understanding that he's contesting the violation of the criminal law and failure to avoid contact with the victim.
Yes.
The state does have both officers from each report present, and when the court is ready, the state will proceed.
All right, Mr. I don't know why I'm missing names today. Mr. Lynch, are you all ready for hearing?
Yes, Judge, we're ready for him.
All right, so let's go. Thank you. Ms. Ponder, you may present your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state will call Officer Fawn.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Officer Stefan, if you can just turn on your camera for me, please.
There you are.
Good morning, officer. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. May you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Okay. May you please state your first and last name for the court and the court reporter?
My first name's Tim, last name Fan.
Okay. Can you spell your first name and your last name?
First name Tam, last name Phan.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with Unity Police Department.
And being employed with the Union City Police Department, are you post-certified?
Yes,
Okay. And being post-certified, does that give you the authority to issue citations?
yes,
Does it give you, do you have arrest powers?
yes,
I want to draw your attention to August 28th, 2024, where you're in fact employed with the Union City Police Department on that day.
yes,
Okay. And were you post-certified on that day?
yes,
Okay. On this particular day, did you respond to 5100 High Point Road in Union City?
yes, I did.
And is that located here in Clayton County, Georgia?
Fulton County.
Okay, give me one moment.
Yeah, I mean, the venue for that is in
Yes,
Fulton.
yes, Your Honor.
That's fine.
And why were you dispatched to this location?
I was dispatched due to a dispute. The victim named Howard called us saying,
I'm gonna object to hearsay at this point, Judge. It's well established that hearsay is not admissible in probation revocation proceedings.
Ms. Ponder?
Your Honor, the state has no response. I'll just ask the witness to the state will proceed. Miss Officer Fawn, when you indicated that you were responding to an incident that happened at this location, is that correct?
yes,
Okay. And who did you make contact with at first? What is that person's first and last name?
Maramima Howard.
Okay. And are you able to spell that individual's first name?
Yes,
Can you spell it for me?
Mariama.
And last name?
Last name Howard, Howard.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to observe anything while you were there?
Yes, I observed damages to the front doorknob, the door frame, her room door, a damaged dining chair, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. And in the course of your investigation, did you issue any arrest warrant?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And who did you issue the arrest warrant for?
For Atabon,
Okay. And do you know how to spell that individual's last name?
Atabong.
And based on your investigation, did you believe to have enough information to issue that arrest, to issue the arrest warrant?
Yes.
One moment, Your Honor. No further question.
All right, Mr. Lynch, cross-examination.
Just a couple of questions. Officer Fan, when you responded to that location, you did not make contact with Mr. Atabong, is that correct?
That's correct.
You did not observe him at the location, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right.
No further questions from this witness, Your Honor.
I had one question. Officer, do you have any idea of whether the defendant lived at this address or whether it was someone else's address?
It was somebody else's address.
Okay, all right. I don't have anything else for this officer. May he be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Officer Fan, you're excused at this time. Thank you, sir. All right, next. When
Yes, Your Honor. The state will call Officer Taylor.
Yes, ma'am. Officer Taylor, this is Sergeant Simpkins with Union City.
Okay.
Yes.
I attempted to contact Officer Taylor. We all worked last night. She got off earlier, and I was unable to make contact with her.
Okay. And
Uh,
Officer Simpkins, it's my understanding that you were the officer on for both incidents.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'll call you next. Officer Simpkins, can you please turn your camera on? Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
May you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can lower your hand. May you please state your first and last name and also spelling your first and last name for the court, please.
Michael Simpkins. That's Michael. Last name Simpkins.
And how are you currently employed?
With the Union City Police Department.
And being employed with the Union City Police Department, are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And does it give you the authority to issue citations?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have arrest powers?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to draw your attention to November the 6th, 2024, where you're in fact working with Union City Police Department on that day.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And did you respond to an incident at 5100 High Point Road?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And when you arrived on scene, who did you make contact with?
Made contact with Miss Howard.
Okay, and do you know the individual's first name?
Yes, ma'am. Maria M.
Okay,
think
can
that's
you
how you
spell
say
the first name?
Mariama.
And the last name?
Howard. Howard.
One moment, please. Is there anything that the officers observed on this individual? Is there anything that you observed on Miss Howard?
That day when we arrived, we did observe a damaged door. She was actually locked inside of the house. The door was so damaged till she couldn't exit the house.
And did you observe any physical injuries on Miss Howard?
No, ma'am, not that day, due to the fact that the door, we could not get inside. She was actually standing at the window. I didn't observe any physical bruises.
And were there any arrest warrants or citations issued for anybody?
Not at that moment. The subject in question was not on scene at the time. So we were attempting to go ahead and get the report done and start taking warrants.
And did you all take warrants?
Before we could do anything, the subject arrived back at the location.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to speak to that individual?
I actually attempted to. I was actually on scene when he arrived back. I was actually monitoring the location while the other officers conducted an area check at the nearby stores. While I was monitoring the area, the subject reapproached the door and started kicking the door again. Uh, I actually watched the subject kick the door, so I pulled up to make contact with them. But as I started getting out of the vehicle, they started coming down the stairs. So I advised him to put his hands in the air. He refused. I continued to give him loud verbal orders to get down on the ground, and I actually unholstered my department issued taser.
Okay.
Uh,
And at that point, did he comply?
no, ma'am.
What did he do after?
Um, Once he didn't comply, he actually got to the bottom of the stairs and attempted to flee on foot. At that time, I gave chase.
Okay, and I want to just back up just a little bit. So I know you indicated that you observed the suspect. Who did you later identify him as?
Autobahn.
Okay, and so you indicated that you observed Mr. Audubon kicking on the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Was it the same door that was broke previously?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was Miss Howard at this time that he was kicking on the door?
She was still inside.
Okay. And so eventually were you able to catch up with Mr. Audubon?
Yes, ma'am. After a failed attempt to tase the subject, I actually caught up to him and ended up in a use of force. Like I said, the taser didn't work, so I actually had to use force to take him down to get him handcuffed.
Okay. And at that point, did you make an arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what were the charges?
He was charged with criminal trespass and obstruction.
No further questions from this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Lynch?
I do not have any questions for this officer. Thank you.
All right, do you have anything else for Sergeant Simpkins, Ms. Ponder?
I do not, Your Honor.
All
State
right,
has no
Sergeant.
objection.
Sergeant, I know y'all sleepy. Y'all go head on.
Okay.
All right, take care. You're released at this
Thank you.
time. All right, did the state have any other witnesses to present?
If I could just have one moment to confirm there's no other witnesses.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the state has no other witnesses at this time.
All right, does the defense have witnesses to present?
No, Judge, we'll not be calling any witnesses.
All right, argument. So Mr. is my understanding that he's already stipulated to the technicals. He's just he is disputing the new arrest information and also the contact with the previous victim in one of his previous cases. And so at this time, I'll hear argument on those issues.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state will request this court to revoke the remaining balance, which I believe at this point is 7 months and 1 day. The reason the state is requesting, as the court has had an opportunity to listen to both officers from 2 separate cases, although there was no testimony from the victim, there was information that the officer made contact with Ms. Howard. Based upon their investigation, they seek warrants. Additionally, in the incident that happened November the 6th, 2024, officers actually observed him at the location, Your Honor. So the officers made observations of the defendant trying to kick down the door. As the court heard from the witness, he indicated that the door was so damaged she couldn't even get out the door, in which the defendant at that point tried to flee from the scene, knowing he was not supposed to be there. For that, Your Honor, the state would ask for this court to revoke the defendant's balance of probation.
All right. Mr.
Your Honor-
Lynch?
Your Honor, My client, Mr. Audubon, as far as his progress on probation, so he's 29 years old. Before he was taken into custody, he was working at Amazon. He comes from Cameroon. His family is in Cameroon. His daughter, he sends money back to support his daughter and his sister and his mother who live in Cameroon. My understanding is that as far as the classes, he did enroll, go to the orientation, and it says on the petition that he submitted documentation of one of 24 classes. My understanding is that he attended at least two classes and had paid for some. He did make some payments on his probation. Judge, I understand the state is asking that the balance be revoked. I'd ask Your Honor to consider a lesser sanction in this case, Judge. Perhaps 120 days, something of that magnitude, Judge. And from that, we'll just leave it in the court's discretion.
All right. Yeah, my concern is that if I tell someone not to have contact with with somebody who's been on one of their cases previously, then I have to have, that order has to have some teeth to it, because how do I protect people if that is not the case? In addition to that, there are 3 other incidents that the officers have at least spoken of one of them, but there are 3 other incidents listed as arrests for Mr. Audubon. Mr. Audubon has also not had a good history of showing up for probation and has not really been compliant in any other way. So at this time, the court having given Mr. Audubon a sufficient amount of time to show that probation would work for him, and he's shown that it is probably not the best in his best interest because he can't complete it successfully, the court is going to revoke 7 months and 1 day. The whole point of probation is I can always put people in jail, but I'm giving you the opportunity to be on the outside, to work, to be compliant, to get stuff done, and to get your probation done. But why should I burden the probation officers with individuals who are not going to be compliant? And so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and just revoke the balance.
Your Honor, that's all I have this morning. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to complete the order.
Do you have any appointment on?
I just completed.
Oh, okay, we're just trying to make sure we can. Yeah, we already have him. Yeah.
But everybody else can come back because
Yeah, everyone else, including Pierce and
Jackson, Pierce, Raymond.
You probably don't need to do much with Walker since they're transferring us.
and Juan.
I'll tell him what he wants to know something. Okay. Is he in the booth? Okay. I'll talk to him in a moment. Oh, yeah. Your Honor,
Yes.
we're requesting Miss Watt. She has a court appearance upstairs, and she has we're gonna do a negotiated plea for her. If Your Honor wouldn't mind us doing that next, so she can probably go to her other court date if we can still manage that.
That's fine.
All right.
Judge is addressing you.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and do this one. I'm trying to, 1 second. I keep filling in these autofills, and then when I try and sign them, sometimes they disappear, and that's great.
So, you're not expected to do this, obviously, while you're in custody. So, in this case, I don't know about the other case. I'm just saying this case will be closed today.
Okay.
Today, you're waiving the right to.
Oh, it did it twice. Never mind. I'll have to do that after we do this, Sharon. Hold on.
Years of education. How long?
okay.
In a period.
All right, and you said this is Miss Way?
Just
Watt, sorry. Ms.
So-
Watt, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2024 CR 00964, theft by shoplifting. You're represented by attorney Taz Taylor, who's with the law firm of Lister, Holt and Dennis. Mr. Taylor, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
Your Honor, my client is pleading guilty to the single charge.
All right. By entering a plea of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, on December the 31st, 2022, officers responded to 6065 Jonesboro Road, which is the location of Walmart, in reference to a shoplifting. When officers arrived on scene, they made contact with loss prevention, who indicated they observed the defendant select certain merchandise inside the store, walk to the front checkpoints and conceal the merchandise into her purse. Officers did make contact with the defendant. Later, it was determined that the value was $12.95. The state's recommendation is 12 months. 12 months probation to pay a $500 fine, balance suspend upon completion of the payment, and do not return to the location, which is the Walmart at 6065 Jonesboro Road, Morrow, Georgia 30260. The reason for the fine, Your Honor, is my understanding the defendant, this is her second and 5. She had a guilty conviction for theft by shoplifting in 2020. Per the statute, it is mandatory.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor, just ask that you accept the negotiated plea.
All right, Ms. White, what's going on in your life, ma'am?
Just trying to get back on track, really.
Do you have someplace to live?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the quickest way to get rearrested and mess up is to not report for your probation reports. So please make sure that you always report, even if you're behind on doing what I asked you to do, always report and at least let your probation officers know what's going on. I'm going to accept your plea of guilty. I'll sentence you to 12 months probation, a fine in the amount of $500. It'll be $737.50 with the civil charges. And upon payment of that, your probation can terminate. And you are to stay away from and not go back to the Walmart located in Morrow, Georgia, Clayton County. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Your Honor.
Yes,
I'm sorry, may I briefly interrupt the proceedings here? I wanted to ask, Your Honor, I have an attorney here, and she wants to get on the conflict list for state court. And I was wondering if you knew who she needs.
she needs to go to court administration and talk to Janice Young.
Janice Young in court administration. Thank you, Judge. That's on the third floor. If you go to the right, it's in the, make a right, it's in the law library. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. And the next person.
All right, next.
Next, I think would be, okay. Well, Benjamin is.
Are we going on the calendar?
Yeah, I was with Darian Benjamin. Darian Benjamin, if you could.
All right.
Is this negotiated, Attorney Lynch? Oh, okay.
Good morning, Attorney Hagler.
Good morning, how are
This
you?
negotiated, Miss Solicitor Ponder also gave me an updated recommendation, okay?
Yes, I am aware, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is Mr. Benjamin. We're ready to proceed when you are.
All right. Mr. Benjamin, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Darian Benjamin, 2025 CR 00274. You're before the court on count 1, theft by receiving stolen goods. Count 1, count 2, unlawful use of a tag. Count 3, driving on a suspended or revoked license. Count 4, no insurance. Count 5, suspended registration. Count 6, no license. And count 7, no tag or expired or invalid tag. Mr. Benjamin, when they say driving like you stole it, they ain't really mean that. That's sort of like a saying. I'm just saying, between me and you, just, you know. Mr. Taylor, you're represented by Mr. Taz Taylor of the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Mr. Taylor, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, to the count 1, that'll be a guilty plea.
All right.
Count 3, count 2 will be no frost. Count 3, driving on a suspended license. That'll be a no-low plea, Your Honor.
Okay,
Count 4, no insurance. That will also be a no-low plea, Your Honor. Counts 5, 6, and 7, my understanding, are to be no prost.
all right. All right. So by entering a plea of guilty to count 1, counts 3 and 4, a no-low plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December the 14th of 2021, Officer Joseph Toombs conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle due to his tag being affixed to its rear. The defendant's vehicle was stopped at 6221 Jonesboro Road, Mara, Georgia, 30260, Clayton County. Additionally, the defendant's license plate came back as stolen out of Forest Park Police Department on NCIC pursuant to reference case number 24007879 for the initial theft report. Upon stopping the defendant, the defendant indicated that he received the stolen license plates from his brother the day prior to place on his vehicle since it did not have insurance on it. The defendant also stated that his driver's license was suspended for having a failure to appear out of the state of Alabama. Officer Toombs checked the vehicle's VIN through NCIC, and the vehicle did come back out of Florida with no insurance and a suspended registration. At that time, the defendant was taken into custody. Your Honor, for count 1 is going to be, the state's offer is 12 months to serve, 45 days, community time served, balance suspended, and the defendant is to have no further violations of the law. Count 2 would be non-pros. Count 3, a fine of $500 to be suspended. Count 4, a fine of $200 to be suspended. Count 5, 6, and 7 are being non-pros, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Taylor, anything on behalf of Mr. Benjamin?
Your Honor, I'd just like to point out that Mr. Benjamin made a bad decision when he placed the license plate on his vehicle. He was just trying to move it from a place where it was being stored to a place that where it's to be repaired. And he took some bad advice from his brother and put the tag that he did not take, but did put the tag on the vehicle. That was the basis for the theft charge. And we will not see Mr. Benjamin again.
All right, Mr. Benjamin, it's so much easier to do it the right way, okay? You guess about how much time and trouble and money you would have saved if you had just got your little tow truck to come pick up that car. I'm just saying. So I take it that you have learned your lesson. I'll send you on count 1 to 12 months to serve 45 days credit since the date of credit for time served. Balance will be suspended and you're to have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. That counts 3 and 4 will run concurrent with count 1. $500 fine on count 3 will be suspended and $200 fine on count 4 will be suspended. And Mr. Benjamin, let's make sure your license is in good stead, okay? All right, take care, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. So,
All right, who's next?
I think that would be Mr. Callahan.
All right, Mr. Callahan, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2025 CR 00271, Courtney Waddell Callahan, simple battery count 1 and simple battery family violence. Simple battery family violence count 1 and simple battery count 2. What is your client plea to the offenses before the court, Mr. Taylor?
Your Honor, my client pleads guilty to the charges, to count 1, I believe count 2 marches.
By entering a plea of guilty to count 1, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about November 26th of 2024, Officer R. Jones was dispatched to 4671 Bartlett Road, Forest Park, Georgia 30297, Clayton County, in reference to a domestic disturbance. It was determined that during his investigation, the defendant did intentionally make physical contact of sorry. It was a time that the defendant did, when he arrived on the scene, he did speak to the victim in this case, Mr. Brandon Williams, who was identified as the defendant's cousin. During the investigation, it turned out the two of them had got into a fight. And during the fight, the defendant had a swollen left eye and a small cut on his eye, which was observed by the officer. During his investigation, it turned out that the defendant was the primary initial aggressor. Your Honor, those are the facts of the case. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 30 days community time served, balance probated, anger management, and the defendant is to have no violent or harassing contact with the victim.
So you said the balance is probated or suspended?
Probate, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay.
And defendants to attend anger management. Mm-hmm.
And what's the victim's name?
Yes, Brandon Williams, Brandon, last name Williams.
All right. Mr. Taylor?
Your Honor, defense just requests that you accept the negotiated plea.
All right, Mr. Callahan, how old are you, sir?
I just turned 31 on 30th of December.
All right, Mr. Callahan, get your life together, sir. There's no reason for you to be beefing with your cousin to the point where police get involved. Sometimes you just got to walk away. You understand? There's no shame in that. The shame is in going to jail and losing a job, losing time, being behind bars, all of that.
You right.
So I'll accept your plea of guilty to count 1, count 2 will merge. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days. Credits for time served balance will be probated for you to pay. For you to take an anger management program. And please take it, go ahead and complete that, and to have no contact with Brandon Williams. Can it terminate upon completion of the anger management?
That. Let me see, Your Honor, 1 second.
I'm trying to give as much incentive as possible for him to actually take the class.
Okay, Your Honor, no objections.
All right, so Mr. Callahan, if you go ahead and take that class and show proof of taking the class, the sooner you do it, the sooner you'll be off probation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's incentive for you to go ahead and get that done so you can get back to your life. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, take care.
So much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Next,
Can we do Dukes next?
who? Duke?
Dukes, if we could, Judge.
One second, I'll be right back. Bring him out.
Stand right next to me. And Ms. Hagler, I'm sure Ms. Ponder made you aware, but Ms. Dukes is, she had confirmed the time Ms. Dukes has been in custody. So she had approved a credit for time served rather than fines, making sure you're apprised of that. But she's in on a VOP. And Ponder did confirm that. I just wanted to make sure.
All right. Ms. Dukes, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2023 CR 04526 for Erica Nicole Dukes. You're represented by Mr. Owen Lynch. You're before the court on driving on a suspended or revoked license and no license. Mr. Lynch, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Judge, no contest to count one. I believe count two would be a no pros.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo to count one, count two being no pros, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis, some recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about May 5th of 2023, Officer Jalen Owens, while traveling on Upper Riverdale Road, Southwest Lamar Hutchinson Parkway, Riverdale, Georgia 30274, Clayton County, did observe the defendant change lanes immediately after Officer Owens got in the same lane as the defendant on two occasions. Upon verifying the tag of the defendant's vehicle, Officer Owens was informed that the vehicle did not have any valid insurance via GCIC. After conducting a traffic stop, Officer Owens made contact with the defendant, who stated that she did not have a license and thinks that her license was suspended at that time. Officer Owens verified her identity, which confirmed that her license had been suspended since January 27th of 2020 for a DUI. Those are the facts of the case. Your Honor, for count one, the state's offer is a fine of $500 to be suspended, and the case in the state is now part of count two.
All right.
Your Honor, that's my understanding. I would ask the court to accept that as negotiated. My client is in custody for another matter, which she believes she'll hopefully be getting out around March. But she's been in custody for some time now, so we just ask that you suspend the fine on her case.
All right. She's not related to Miss Janisha Dukes, is she?
No, she's indicating no, Judge.
All right. I was just wondering. I haven't seen the other Miss Dukes in a while. All right. So, Miss Dukes, I'm going to accept your plea of nolo to count one. Count two will be no pros. It's a $500 fine that will be suspended for credit for time served. And you're free to go back with the sheriff.
All right.
All right, next.
Judge, if we do Ms. Harris next.
Sure. All right, raise your right hand for me, Ms. Harris. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Speak up and say yes.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Ms. Harris, you're before the court for State of Georgia versus Brittany Harris, 2025 CR 00268 for disorderly conduct. Mr. Lynch, what is your client plea to the offense of disorderly conduct?
Judge, she pleads guilty.
By entering a plea of guilty, Ms. Harris, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. Your Honor,
All
can
right.
I ask you this? Really, I didn't do nothing.
Hold on. The best thing to do is to talk to your attorney, but let me get through the factual basis. And then once I hear the facts, then I can hear whether you disagree with them or not, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Just that way I'll know what you're talking about, okay? All right, go ahead. Factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December 19th of 2024, Officer F as in Frank, last name Shelley, was dispatched to 6000 North Terminal Parkway, also known as the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, in reference to a disorderly female. Upon arrival, the defendant was sitting outside door N3 in the smoking area, screaming verbally, intimidating passengers, and cursing in the presence of minors. Officer Shelley at that time approached the defendant and gave her an opportunity to calm down and cease the cursing. However, the defendant refused, and she continued cursing and screaming, and she physically became combative when Officer Shelley attempted to detain her. At that time, the defendant was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 90 days balance suspended, and the defendant can get credit since the day of lockup.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Your
Before you
Honor.
speak, can I just say something quick? So Judge, we had, and if Ms. Harris wants to speak, I'll certainly give her that opportunity. But I had previously spoken to Ms. Harris about this case, and I was going to ask the court to sentence her rather than the 90 days that the state's recommending. We feel that 60 days would be more than adequate.
Really?
Man, hold on a
You
second.
envious of me, man. Possessed with it. The Lord keep telling y'all so possessed with envy.
Man.
Yeah, I'm not the Lord. It's nothing that beautiful in his eyesight, man.
The hell? All right, I'm gonna need whoever said the expletive to mute your device.
Your Honor, can I explain to you? They keep harassing me. I'm smoking outside. What have I, why
Okay,
am I
Ms. Harris, let me ask you a question. Were you smoking outside the airport?
Yes.
Okay,
Been harassing me all the time.
so you weren't in the airport, you were
No,
smoking
I was
outside.
not. I was outside smoking.
Okay,
She come grabbing me. Come on, what am I doing? I'm smoking.
okay. Have they done this before? Okay, let me just ask you this, Ms. Harris. Were you traveling that day? Did they delay your travel at all?
Yes, I was finna get on the plane.
Where were we going, Ms. Harris?
I'm from Birmingham. I was about to go home.
Okay,
Harassing
so
me all the time.
So, Ms. Harris, I get that. My understanding is they have really shut down the airport. They have cut it down to where it.
She lying on. I'm talking to her. Can I talk? I have no rights in this world, man.
Ms. Harris, I'm listening to you. It's okay, Whitson. Ms. Harris, just listen to me. So they have some new rules about the airport, and they have really, really like slapped down on people being at the airport. Now the rule is if you don't have a ticket that you can show them, whether you're outside the airport, inside the airport, or on MARTA, if you at the airport, yeah, if you don't,
plays all down.
Man, it is bad. If you don't have a ticket to show them that you are flying, they didn't ask
someone else. Everybody out there smoking.
I got you. I got you. All right.
Your Honor, I'm in my room. They never let me out.
How long has she been in?
Since December 19th.
Ms. Harris, let me ask you this. If I let you out, do you have some place to go that is not the airport?
Yes, ma'am. I would never attend there no more, Your Honor, I promise.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Harris, I'm gonna cut it down to 60 days and credit since the date of lockup. So I'll accept your plea, 12 months to serve 60 days. Balance will be suspended.
Really? I'm supposed to sign out. This is my first offense.
Hold on. As long as you, okay, now listen, but as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, unless you can actually show a ticket for a flight on that day. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can go back with the sheriff's office.
Okay, well, can I ask you this?
Yes, ma'am.
Them to let me out. They not letting me out. They letting others out.
They won't let you out of your cell.
Going home for this.
Well, I think you might have enough credit for that almost.
What you mean credit? What is credit?
Credit since the date you got locked up. I think you'll be let out soon.
What is soon?
Let's see, the 19th. You got about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. And you'll be through the snowstorm. That way you won't have to be outside in the snow, okay?
Ma'am, you have a nice one, Your Honor.
You too, Ms. Harris. Thank you so much. You take care.
Your Honor, may I just address something really quickly?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ponder. Go ahead and put on the record.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So I just would like to bring it to the court's attention. So initially, when we did do negotiations, I went down to the courtroom to speak with Mr. Lynch and Mr. Taylor to make sure that we were ready to go for the court once you were on the bench. I know that the court has the final say-so during sentencing. I think my biggest issue is that counsel had indicated that this was a negotiated plea. Then once we actually speak.
At no point did I indicate Ms. Harris was in the.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lynch. I will not interrupt you, so may you not interrupt me, please.
Please don't make false statements to the court.
Okay. So my biggest issue is that when we do negotiated pleas with counsel, it is not until the court acts, and then at that point it is as if it is non-negotiated. So I would just ask in the future for counsel to indicate whether or not this is negotiated or non-negotiated prior.
Can I please respond? So I understand what Ms. Ponder is indicating, and I have no problem doing that. However, it is blatantly false. At no point did I state that Ms. Harris was going to be a negotiated plea. I had determined it was going to be a non-negotiated plea when I first indicated her. So if Ms. Ponder is
Yeah,
stating.
but usually you say, Judge, this is non-negotiated, and I didn't hear that at the end of.
Sure, but Ms. Ponder
I
stated
get it.
I said it was negotiated, which I did not. And I
Okay,
did not
but she might have been under the same impression that I was, that usually if it's non-negotiated, you will say that. That's neither here nor there. I understand that if y'all negotiate something, then both sides want to rely on the fact that it's been negotiated. I don't have a problem. The issue that I have with Ms. Harris is she seems to not be altered significantly right now. I think it could get worse, but if she has the ability to get to stability while she's not altered, I'm hoping that that'll be now as opposed to waiting the additional 30 days. And that was my only concern, is that I think that at this point she's less altered than she could be. And when she is less altered, it is a possibility that she could actually make her way to someplace that is not the airport for security purposes or for safety purposes. I'm hoping that will happen, but Miss Harris will probably be back before me, and I anticipate that. And I get where you're coming from, Ms. Ponder. I'm just trying to, I guess, lessen the number of people who are going to be in the jail and require a higher level of monitoring, as opposed to individuals who I know can handle themselves in the jail. That's it. I'm just trying to balance it a little bit, but I get what you're saying, and your point is well taken.
Thank you.
Who's next? Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make one.
Mr. Lynch, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you. I'm just saying that if you all negotiate. Then if you don't, it's non-negotiated. Indicate that, and I'll go both ways.
And I'm totally fine with that. When Ms. Ponder came down here, she asked what case we need to go over, and we discussed all the cases that we were going to negotiate. And then we talked about those cases. At no point did Ms. Harris's name come up one way or the other. And so if I was going to negotiate, I didn't say this was going to be a negotiated plea. I didn't say that to Ms. Hagler. I didn't say that to Ms. Ponder. And so I just, I understand if she wants us to say at the first if this is going to be negotiated or non-negotiated, but she didn't ask. And so it's just a little disturbing to me to have a statement that I made a statement that this was going to be negotiated when I made no such statement. And I that's all I'll say.
Okay, well, your point is well taken too. Who is next? Do we have Brown, which I'm saving to the end of the calendar because it looks like it's going to be some information I'm going to need about things that contribute to a bond determination. Davis. Oh, wait, no, Brown's already been transferred, so I don't think I get to do the bond determination. Is that what we determined?
Yeah, that is correct, Your Honor. I think that was part of the
that was one of. Yeah, so
we're addressing Mr. Brown at the end of the calendar. If we could go forward with Mr. Jackson, who is next on the calendar after Ms. Harris.
Okay, I'm ready on Jackson. Jackson, is that Mr. Carmichael's case?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, again?
I thought it was a petition.
It is a petition.
It is, Your Honor.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Carmichael.
Good morning to you, Your Honor.
One second. Who is yelling?
That's Ms. Harris, Your Honor.
Okay.
The deputies are taking care of her as soon as they're available. We'll have Mr. Jackson brought out.
Oh, she's quite loud. Yeah, 90 days in the jail. I don't know if that'll help or hurt. Oh my goodness. It's hard to make that determination at this point. All right, so this is State of Georgia versus Richard Jackson, 2023 CR 06192. Mr. Jackson is before the court for a petition for revocation of probation. You were before this court. Wait, is he out yet?
He hasn't been brought out. The deputies are still.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Both of them to take Ms. Harris.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll be back in a minute when Mr. Jackson is out. So this is who I have remaining: Davis, English, Jackson, Pierce, Raymond, Thomas, and Wedlow.
And Your Honor, I can actually go and make an announcement on English. The defendant does have 4 prior theft by shoplifting convictions. So that case, I will be preparing the order to transfer that up today.
Okay, so English is gonna be a transfer.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, I'll sign that. All right, so I got Jackson pulled up whenever y'all come out.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're ready to proceed. Judge will be back in just a moment. I got this after. You only had 12 months, but what they did was they told us after they didn't know, weren't able to get in touch with you. They stopped, basically, they called timeout, stopped the clock. Once they got.
All right, Mr. Jackson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Richard Jackson, 2023 CR 06192. For you were before this court for criminal trespass and damage to property, battery, family violence on the 22nd day of August 2023. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 1 month and 24 days remaining. Says you failed to report as directed on December 27th, January 24th, December 27th of 2023. January 24th of 2024, April 11th, April 18th, and within 10 days of May 6th, 2024, you failed to report for a revocation hearing that was scheduled on June 4th of 2024. You last reported by phone on March 28th of 2024. You failed to complete community service. You've documented 0 of the 40 hours you were ordered to do. You failed to complete a family violence intervention program. You've completed 3 of the 24 courses as of October 17th of 2023, and you failed to pay. All right, Mr. Taylor is representing you. Mr. Taylor, anything on behalf of Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, we stipulate to the violations that's listed in the petition, and also will stipulate to the recommendation that Probation Officer Austin has given to the client.
All right, Mr. Jackson, where were you?
Once I got fired, I got homeless. I had nowhere to go.
Okay.
I spoke to Mr. Jackson, Your Honor, and he was working, and that's when he was completing at least partially the terms of the probation. Once he lost his job, he lost his housing and stability and his ability to complete the terms of the probation at that time.
All right, Mr.
Excuse, but it does explain some of the.
No, I mean, it's a cascade effect. If you get fired, you can lose a lot. that goes into your being able to be stable and to complete certain things. All right, what's the recommendation, Mr. Carmichael?
Yes, Your Honor. Per speaking with Mr. Austin, Officer Austin recommends revoke the entire balance, closed case.
All right.
And Your Honor, I believe that balance was 1 month and 24 days when the petition was filed. So that'd be approximately 54 days, which I've informed of Mr. Jackson of. Does any of that include credit for the time he spent in custody prior to our hearing today?
I'll give him credit since the date of lockup.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Hold on.
Attention staff, we have extra print jobs at the color printer that is now working. Thank you.
Upstairs.
All right, so the court has revoked the balance. I'm giving you credit since the date of lockup, and after the service of that time, your case will be closed, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so sir, be careful, guard your interactions so that this doesn't happen again, and go out there and find you another job. What field do you work in? What do you do, sir?
I do, right now, I was doing forklift at a warehouse.
Okay, okay.
But
Well,
I still got my job right now. So I'm here.
all right, well, go back and go on and go back to work, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Take care.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next.
And Your Honor, that was my only case. May I be excused?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you as always, Your Honor. Take care.
You too.
Judge, I'm asking if we can do Pierce next.
Yes, that's fine.
Yep. Well, I just asked him to be next. And this will be a negotiated plea, as I indicated when the calendar was called.
All right, that's fine.
Mr. Pierce, Edward Pierce.
Raise your right hand for me, Mr. Pierce. You
Yes.
solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on state of Georgia. Okay, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Edward James Pierce, 2023 CR 01891 for simple battery, family violence, count 1, simple battery, count 2, hindering the apprehension, count 3, and obstruction of an officer, count 4. How does your client plead to the offenses before the court, Mr. Lynch?
Judge, it's a guilty plea to count 1 and a guilty plea to counts 3 and 4.
All right, sir, by entering pleas of guilty to count 1, 3, and 4, count 2 will merge. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status, Mr. Pierce. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On April the 12th, 2022, officers responded to 112 Fair Avenue, located here in Clayton County, Georgia, in reference to a domestic disturbance. When officers arrived on scene, they made contact. They attempted to make contact with Mr. Pierce, the defendant before you, in which he refused to open the door. Later during their investigation, they did make contact with a Jessica Dobson, spelled Jessica, last name Dodson, Dodson. Officers learned during the course of their investigation that the defendant did slam the victim's head against the wall. However, officers did not observe any injuries. Officers were unable to actually make contact with an individual who they later determined had a warrant. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is as follows. For count 1 is 12 months to serve. Balance suspended on the condition of no contact with the victim, Jessica Dobson.
Miss, can I just stop you, Miss Ponder? Because you just said 12 months to serve, but that's not the
12 months to serve, 90 days. Did I say 90 days?
Yeah, 90 days.
No.
I
is what I was
apologize.
looking-
I'm sorry. It's 12
Thank
months to serve, 90
Okay.
days.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
I
90
was
days.
gonna get it, Mr. Lynch. I was gonna ask for clarification.
So for count 1 is 12 months to serve, 90 days, balance suspended on the condition that he has no contact with the victim. Count 2 is dismissed. Count 3 is dismissed, and count 4 is dismissed. Those are the facts of the case. That's the state's recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, I'm sorry. So counts 3 and 4, you're saying 2 is merging and 3 and 4 will be no pros?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Pierce, I'm gonna accept your plea of guilty. Mr. Lynch, did you have anything to say on behalf of Mr. Pierce?
Just Judge, I would ask you accept as negotiated. I did want to indicate though that, so when he was initially arrested on this charge, he did about 60 days. How a list attorney Kraft, Alfonso Kraft, so I don't know if a felony was attached to it at some point, but I'm just trying to make sure he gets credit for the time he did on the initial arrest.
Okay. All right, so 12 months to serve, 90 days credit since the date of lockup. From the initial arrest, balance will be suspended as long as there's no contact with the officer involved and no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right.
Can I ask if, it's okay if I.
Okay, I got it.
For inmate worker?
That's up to the status. That's up to the sheriff, not.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You gotta apply for it.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Aaron, is it possible if we can do Arika Thomas?
Okay. Do you have a release date or?
I'm fine with it. Is he up?
He is. Okay, okay. Up here.
Mr. Thomas is up. Our deputy is going to bring him out now. Yes. This is Ms. Ponder, did we
Yes.
discuss Mr. Thomas and it was suspended fines based on his?
Correct. Mhm.
Okay, excellent.
Count 1 and 4 suspended, count 2, 3 5, and
Yeah, I think that's it.
will be dismissed.
Thank you.
So I still have Davis, Raymond, Thomas, and Wedlow. We're moving well, but I just wanted to let y'all know what I had on my list.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. The one who was in the booth with me. Thomas, then we just have those two left. Are we putting no load to this? Or just no load? Can you get your license? Can you get it? Can you use the no load? Over here. Thank you, Your Honor. This is Mr. Thomas. So, you don't want me back.
Mr. Thomas, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. Thomas, why are you back before me? This is case 2025 CR 0098. I'm sorry, 298. Arica Cortez Thomas. 1, driving on a suspended or revoked license. Count 2, no license. Count 3, license not on person. Count 4, speeding 16 to 20 miles per hour. And count 5, too fast for condition. Mr. Taylor, what is your client plead to the offenses before the court?
To the driving with suspended license, Mr. Thomas pleads nolo contendere. Count 2 is to be no prost. Count 3 is to be no prost. Count 4, speeding. My client pleads nolo contendere to the speeding charge, and count 5 is to be no prost, Your Honor.
All right. By entering a plea of nolo to counts 1 and 4, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
On January the 15th, 2024, officers conducted a traffic stop on Forest Parkway and Southridge Parkway located here in Clayton County, Georgia. Officers observed the defendant's vehicle traveling 64 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone when they made contact with the defendant, later identified as Mr. Thomas. Before officers did learn that, in fact, his driver's license were suspended. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation for count 1 is a $500 fine suspended. Count 2 will be dismissed. Count 3 will be dismissed. Count 4 is a $100 fine suspended, and count 5 is dismissed. The state has taken into consideration of the time he's been in custody.
All right. So, Mr. Thomas, I'm going to accept your plea. The state's recommendation, count 1 is a $500 fine suspended. Counts 2, 3, and counts 2, 3, and 5 will be no prost, and count 4, a $100 fine, which will be suspended. All right. Take care, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Great.
We couldn't get on the elevator. That's why I had to get up outside here. Yeah. Did she say anything? I said, "Yeah, I got it." No, we standing there on the elevator. I heard it.
I just have a question for Mr. Did we do Milton Davis? Just
We
trying to-
have not
Okay,
yet.
just trying to update my calendar. So we have Mr. Davis and Mr. Wetlow. The only two
Yes.
left.
No, Davis, Raymond, and Wedlow,
Okay.
unless we did, yeah, we didn't do Raymond, I don't think.
We pull out Mr. Davis for a plea. And we're gonna go forward on Mr. Davis. Negotiated plea.
You said negotiated for Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. This is Mr. Davis.
Milton Davis, Judge.
All right, Mr. Davis, by entering, Mr. Davis, you give up, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true? You said yes to that.
Yes, ma'am.
And what does Mr. Davis plead to the offenses before the court?
Judge, he pleads no contest to count 1 and no contest to count 3. I believe the state has indicated they will null pros count 2. We'll stipulate to a factual basis.
All right, so Mr. Davis, you're before the court on count 1, driving on a suspended or revoked license, count 2, no license, and count 3, failure to yield the right of way. This is case 2023 CR 01312. You're entering a plea of no to counts 1 and 3. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your
Gonna
Honor.
stipulate, he'll stipulate to the fact, that's
Okay.
fine. All
Yes, Your
right.
Honor. For count 1, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 2 days, credit for time, community time served, balance suspended. Count 2 will be non-pros, and then count 3, 12 months to serve, 1 day, community time served, balance suspended.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Davis, I'm going to accept your pleas. I'll sentence you on count 1, 12 months to serve 2 days. Credit for time served, balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. Count 2 will be no pros. Count 3 will run concurrent with count 1. 12 months to serve 1 day. Credit for time served, balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. You can go back to the sheriff's office. Thank you. Who's next, Raymond or Wedlow?
Oh, forgot about Raymond. Judge, we're ready for Raymond. If you want to bring out Mr. Raymond. Raymond?
Raymond?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Raymond, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Okay, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2022 CR 03622, Terrence Vance Raymond Jr. for driving on a suspended or revoked license and no license. What is your client plead to the offenses before the court?
No contest to count one, Judge.
All right, by entering a plea of no low to count one, count two will merge. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
No.
All right, factual basis recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor. On September the 9th, 2021, officers conducted a traffic stop on Terror Road and Terror Boulevard located here in Clayton County, Georgia. Officers observed the defendant throwing a Red Bull beverage out of the driver's side window. Officers conducted a traffic stop and learned that his license were in fact suspended as of September the 23rd, 2020. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation for count one is a $1,000 fine suspended. Count two will be dismissed. Your Honor, the state's recommendations and consideration that he has been in custody since September the 22nd, 2024. He is currently in custody on felony charges.
All right. Sorry. What's the recommendation again?
The recommendation is a $1,000 fine suspended.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Raymond, the court will send you to pay a fine in the amount of $1,000. It will be suspended for credit for time served, and you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
May the state have a brief breakout room with counsel with Mr. Lynch and the court, please?
Sure.
Sure.
I don't know why I said sure, since it's not up to me.
All right, breakout room number one. I'll put the court, Ms. Hagler and Ms. Ponder.
Thank you.
I'll join. Sorry about that. That was a little bit of a long breakout. Okay, so Wedlow is what we have left. Mr. Lynch, you had an announcement on Wedlow.
Yes, Judge, I did speak to Mr. Wedlow today. I did advise him as to the state's current offer on the table. Today, he has indicated he wishes to enter not guilty pleas to the matters before the court.
All right, so Mr. Wedlow is entering a not guilty plea to the three cases on the calendar. The case 2024 CR 06670, 2024 CR 06671, and 2025 CR 00261.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Judge, I mentioned this to Val earlier, and I don't anticipate any issues here. I just wanted to not catch the court by surprise. I did receive a jury summons for DeKalb County for February the 5th, which I think is the second day of our trial week. And I'm still preparing for all my cases because they may or may not actually call me in. And you know,
okay. Well, as I have always stated, everybody needs to do their duty and service to this country through service on a jury. If you have that opportunity, I fully encourage you to take the opportunity to serve. We will see if they actually call you in. Just continue to prepare. And then, you know, your trial partner may have to do his cases, and we'll just wait for you to get back.
yes, Judge, I'm hoping it doesn't come down to that, but we'll see. Although I wouldn't mind serving on a jury. I don't know if they'll let me on.
Probably not on. They probably won't.
Probably not. It's criminal. Maybe something else.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll see you next week.
All right. I'm
Thank you,
signing.
Judge. Have a good day.
You too. If you have stuff for me to sign, I'm signing.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good Judge.